What's good, YouTube? It's your girl Love Care, and I'm back with another freaking video. Every Tuesday, I'm gonna be dropping a girl talk or let's talk about it talk. The topic for today is how to walk away from toxic relationships. You're like, I don't need this person anymore. I'm somebody. I'm somebody great. There's no reason to go back. So stop going back. I'm telling y'all, stop going back. Everything that comes back around is not meant for you. Sometimes God is really just testing you and telling you, let me see if you're strong enough to not go back. Let me see if you're strong enough to not engage with this that I done brought back up later down the line. God is testing you. All right, y'all. So we back, and y'all already know what it is. As you can tell by the title, it's the first video of Let's Talk About It Tuesdays. So let me tell y'all a little bit how it's gonna go. Every Tuesday, I'm gonna be dropping a girl talk or Let's Talk About It talk because we're gonna get into these topics and we really gonna talk about some stuff that we really need to talk about because I know y'all really want to hear me talk about it. So that's what we're gonna talk about, okay? Okay. But yeah, y'all, welcome to another Let's Talk About It Tuesday. So the topic for today is how to walk away from toxic relationships. I feel like this is a real important topic because a lot of people, like, and this is female or a male, like, a lot of y'all need help when it comes to getting out of toxic relationships. And, like, I be seeing, like, sorry, I'm knocking over the camera. I be seeing, like, people who come to me about their relationship problems or whatever, even people like I don't even know and I'm just on the outside looking in. Like I be seeing that and even stuff that I've experienced myself, like we want to get out of these toxic relationships, but it's hard. Like it's hard because you love that person, and as much as that person is putting you through hell, you just don't want to let it go because of the history, because of the connection, because that's your person that you've been with, and it's like if sometimes it feels like if you're not with them, who are you? You don't even like you don't feel yourself if you're not with that person because you've been around that person for so long. So this video is really just to help people walk away from toxic relationships because you need to know when it's time to walk away and you need to take these steps to help get you out of this situation because the longer you prolong it, the worse it's going to get, the more toxic. It could even get domestic. I've never had to experience anything like that, but that can happen. So like y'all really need to take these steps to get away from those toxic relationships for yourself and for that person that you love. I'm gonna start with the 3 A's. So there's 3 A's that can help you get out of. Yeah, I cannot talk today. There's 3 A's that you want to remember when it comes to getting away from toxic relationships. So those 3 A's are acknowledgement, acceptance, and action. So we're gonna start with acknowledgement. So when it comes to acknowledgement, you need to acknowledge that you're in a toxic relationship. That's always the first step. Once you know, okay, this relationship is toxic, this is toxic for me, this is not healthy for me, I do not need to be in it. Even if you can't, you're at this point where you may not be ready to get out of it, but if you can acknowledge that this is toxic for you and this is not healthy, that's a good thing. That's a good sign. You also want to acknowledge how this relationship has changed you in a negative way. So you need to look at the signs, look at how this relationship has, changed your mood. Like you used to be a happy person. Used to be just like the brightest person in the world. Used to just not let things bother you. You didn't used to be argumentative. Like you didn't used to be negative. You didn't used to just have this negative aroma. Is that the word? Negative aroma, negative energy that's just surrounding you. That didn't used to happen. But now that you're in this toxic relationship, that's what's surrounding you. That's your environment every single day, all day. So when you can acknowledge that you've changed as a person and not in a good way, like the things that you changed, you've changed even to people around you. You've changed to your family. You've changed to your friends. And I know being in a toxic relationship, like sometimes you don't realize that you've changed, but the people around you will tell you, like your family will tell you, like you're not the same person you was. And they'll tell you, like, and then you can see like when people start drifting away from you, like you also need to recognize like sometimes when you're in a toxic relationship, that can rub off on the people around you and make them back up away from you. Did I say back away? That can make them basically, back up. Like they don't want to be around all that. Like that's affecting them in a negative way too. So that's a good way to kind of acknowledge that too. And then you need to acknowledge that the things happening are not healthy. So you need to acknowledge that y'all arguing every day is not healthy for your mental. You need to acknowledge that you not being happy with the person you're going to sleep with, like you going to sleep mad and waking up mad, that's not healthy for you. You need to acknowledge that being with this person is not healthy for you anymore. You need to at least acknowledge it. This has not even gotten into you taking the steps to remove yourself. This is just acknowledging that where you are in this space is not healthy for you. The actions you guys are taking towards each other are not healthy. The main thing is really just to acknowledge that you're in a toxic relationship and then acknowledge how it has changed you and acknowledge that the things that are happening, so like the actions that are being taken in this toxic relationship, are not healthy. The second A is acceptance. So when it comes to acceptance, you see how you acknowledge how everything is not right for you. Now it's time for you to accept. Y'all get where I'm going with this? Now it's time for you to accept all this stuff. Like, you can acknowledge it, but not accept it. Now it's time for you to accept it. So you need to accept that you cannot stay. You can no longer stay in this relationship. You need to accept that I have reached a point where this relationship, I acknowledge that this relationship is not healthy for me, so I can no longer stay in this relationship. You need to accept that both parties are at fault. Like, both sides, both of y'all need to accept that both of y'all are at the wrong and y'all led this relationship to be toxic. And then, of course, accept that you're not the same person you started as. So, literally, every day we're growing and we're changing. So, if you started in this relationship as one type of person, or just you started in this relationship as a person who normally does such and such and such and such, whatever. Now that you're in this relationship, now that the relationship has changed, you have also changed. You have also became a different person, and it might, like, you may, most 9 times out of 10, you don't like the person that you've become. So you need to accept that you have changed as a person and you are not the same. Accept that this is not who you used to be. you know All right, so let's get to the third A. The third A is action. Now it's time to put your big girl panties on, put your big boy drawers on, and it's time to take action. It's time to walk away from this toxic relationship. Okay, we didn't did acknowledgement, we didn't did acceptance. So we didn't acknowledge everything that's wrong. We didn't acknowledge everything is unhealthy. Now we accepting it. We like, okay, this is not who I am. I am not the same person. I'm to blame. They're also to blame. And I accept that I can't be in this relationship anymore. I accept it. I accept it. Now it's time to take action. Okay. So the first step of taking action is to separate yourself. So as you start to separate yourself from that toxic relationship, you'll see, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna get some backlash from that person, because not only are you stuck in that toxic relationship, so are they. So you're gonna get backlash. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, and it's gonna get worse for both of y'all, because both of y'all are not used to being away from each other. So now that you're separating from that toxic, you're able to breathe. You haven't been able to breathe. Now that you're separating from that person, you're now able to breathe and find yourself. That's the next step. Taking action. It's time to separate yourself and then find yourself. So now that you're away from that person, try to figure out who you are without that person. Try to figure out, as you acknowledge you have changed as a person, figure out the person that you have now become and figure out the person that you want to be. That's the steps when it comes to finding yourself. It's going to come a time where you're going to feel like, I don't know who I am without this person, because I've been with them. We have history, you know. And sometimes you may have, with that toxic relationship, you may have separated yourself so much from your family and friends. Like, they're the only person you have. So you don't know who you are without that person. So you need to remember that you are somebody without that person. And by taking action, you're able to be like, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm talking in circles. I got lost for a second. Okay, so separating yourself, finding yourself again. And I think with remembering that you are somebody without that person, that's just giving yourself, what's the word? Not complimenting yourself, using words of affirmation to yourself. So you're not feeling like you have to go back. If you can realize that you're somebody without that person, you're okay without that person, then you won't You won't need to go back. You're good, you know? And that's really the next step of taking action. Now that you realize by separating yourself, you're able to breathe and be free and find yourself. And you found a whole different side of yourself. You found the good. You've gotten back to the good. And you're like, I don't need this person anymore. You know, I'm somebody. I'm somebody great. There's no reason to go back. So stop going back. I'm telling y'all, stop going back. Stop it. Now that once you've gotten to through these steps, there's no reason to go back. Going back is putting yourself back attached to that toxic situation and toxic person. Then you're gonna lose everything that you found for yourself. And then you're just gonna think again that you're nobody without this person. So don't do that to yourself. That's one of the steps to taking action is stop going back. I just really want to highlight this because at this point, people are gonna go back, but what I really want y'all to realize is that if it takes you multiple times where you need to go back, you know, do what you gotta do. But at a point in time, you're gonna realize what Kira said on this video, what Kira said on Let's Talk About It Tuesday. She said, stop going back. Y'all gonna realize that that's what you need to do. So this is also your step to, if you need to have a relapse, I don't recommend. If you need to have a relapse. But after so many times, it's time to stop. You know, because low key by this time, after you done did all this, you shouldn't be wanting to go back because you done already went back before you started these steps. You know what I'm saying? That means in low key, this step should low key be higher than all of those. But stop answering those texts and phone calls. You need to know, they need to know that they don't have access to you anymore. So if you're still answering their phone calls, texting them back, still engaging with that toxic person, they're still going to think they have access to you, and they're still going to continue to drag you down and drag you into this toxic situation. And you're not going to be able to really shine your light and be the brightest person you could be and just be yourself. You're not going to be able to. So you really need to stop engaging with that person in order to walk away from this toxic relationship, in order to remove yourself from that toxic situation. Um, and then another step in taking action is leaving the past in the past until you're healed and unbothered. Keyword, leaving the past in the past until you're healed and unbothered. Healed and unbothered, y'all. And let me break this down. So leaving the past in the past, that means once you are stuck, that means once you've stopped engaging with that person, leave them in the past. So that goes hand in hand with stop going back. Leave them in the past. Clear your mind of that person. Okay. You need to really not think about that person, not communicate with that person until you have healed, until you have went through your stages of healing, and you can now talk to that person without feeling emotional, without feeling angry, without feeling upset, without feeling all these emotions that are just gonna bring you back to that toxic mindset. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to engage with that person until you are now healed and unbothered. Until you have went through the stages of healing, you are now unbothered. There are no emotions when it comes to that person anymore. Of course, you're still gonna love them. You're still gonna, have some feelings towards them, but there shouldn't be negative emotions connected with that person anymore. It should just be things happen. After a while, you have to learn how to let things go. I'm not saying forget, and I'm not saying forgive, because everyone can't forgive, but you have to let things go, because if you continue to carry stuff inside of you and not allow yourself to heal, it's going to eat you alive. You're not going to be able to be the best person you can be. And that just comes after you done went through all these steps, you done took all this action and walked away from this toxic relationship. Don't go backwards. So when that person comes back up 2 to 3, 4, 5 years later, do not go backwards, because there's a reason. There's a reason that relationship was toxic. There's a reason that things happen. God has never told you to go backwards. Okay. And I know people say that if it's meant to be, it'll come back. That's bullshit, y'all. That's so bullshit. Do not do it. Do not do it. Anything that comes around, everything that comes back around is not meant for you. sometimes God is really just testing you and telling you, you know, let me see if you're strong enough to not go back. Let me see if you're strong enough to not engage with this that I done brought back up later down the line. God is testing you. You need to pass the test and not go backwards. You never go backwards. You always want to continue to grow and go forward and grow yourself as a person. And don't let yourself go backwards to that person that you used to be. You don't want to be that person you used to be. You want to be the new person who's healed, who's grown, who's a better person, who acknowledges mistakes, who is able to communicate, who is never, ever, ever going to go back to that toxic relationship. Sorry, I got a little heated, y'all. I'm sorry. It got a little hot in here. Y'all, my window is foggy back there. That's the accent, not back there. So I hope you guys really listen to everything that I was saying. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I was yelling, but I got this microphone, so you know I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to pronounce my words and really, really talk to y'all and really speak to y'all on this Tuesday. Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, it's not Tuesday, but this video is getting posted on Tuesday. Okay, that's why it's called Let's Talk About It Tuesday. And I can't wait for y'all to tune in next Tuesday for the next Let's Talk About It Tuesday, because we got some good topics that we're really gonna be talking about. We're really gonna be getting into the nitty gritty. I really just want to come on here and talk about, you know, relevant stuff, especially to, you know, people my age, people younger who haven't gone through this but may go through this, and even adults, because I be seeing people older than me going through situations that, you know, I may have gone through, and I'm a person that really learns from my mistakes. So I really am trying to educate. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment, engage, watch the full video. I hope you made it to the end of the video, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Love y'all. See you later.